Today we are going to take a look at the current issues surrounding indoor air quality within the social housing sector. We'll be looking at the concerns tenants have within their homes, the obstacles social housing landlords are facing, and the dilemmas in which they come across when tackling them. We will then go on to explain how at New Air we can offer effective solutions, all from a real-time scenario. Firstly, let's look at the tenant. This is Mrs. Smith. She is a tenant with a local authority. We've all seen similar stories to hers on the news recently. She's currently feeling very anxious. Let's see why. The reason for her anxiety is because she lives on the ground floor of this 2-bedroom flat with her husband and 3 children. Her windows are streaming with condensation. Condensation is caused by her family's everyday activities such as breathing, bathing and cooking. Due to high heating costs, she does not adequately heat her home and also has no outdoor space in which to dry clothing, all adding to the damp environment. 1.9 million in the UK are currently living with mould, condensation or damp and cannot keep warm. 3 million homes are facing fuel poverty in winter 2021 and over 500,000 homes in London are currently overcrowded. Mrs. Smith is also extremely worried. This is her daughter Chloe. Chloe has been in and out of the doctors with severe asthma for some time. The doctor has told her that the damp in her daughter's bedroom could be a contributing factor. This is Chloe's bedroom ceiling, and as you can see, it's covered in mould. We see mould in properties with damp conditions and poor ventilation. Chloe's bedroom is also a breeding ground for dust mites as they thrive in damp, humid environments. It's actually when the dust mite feces attach to dust particles and become airborne that these lead to respiratory conditions. She is also very frustrated. She is feeling ignored. Despite numerous calls to her landlord, nothing seems to be being done to help her. She had a visit from her housing officer who arranged for the mould to be cleaned off. However, it's now returned and she feels like no one wants to help. However, recently she feels there may be some hope. She has seen these adverts all over social media, asking her if she is a social housing tenant and offering her help with her damp problems, telling her that she has more rights now than a tenant than ever before and that there are people out there willing to help. Her friend has also been in touch and told her about a company that she has just used to help her write a disrepair claim to her local authority. The process was simple and she received compensation for the problems she had. Mrs. Smith decides to use the same company to help her write one too. Now let's take a look at this situation from the landlord's perspective. The disrepair letter that Mrs. Smith writes lands on Mr. Evans' desk. Mr. Evans is the housing officer at Mrs. Smith's local authority. He is concerned because this is the 5th disrepair claim letter he has received this week, all with similar issues. He has also just become aware of the Fitness for Human Habitation Act. It's a new act which has been enforced only recently. It was brought in to give tenants more rights and to bring rogue landlords into line. He fears that letters like this are going to be now more of a regular thing. Let's see what it's all about. It applies to all tenancies from March 2020. The government's published position is this. The Fitness for Human Habitation Act is designed to ensure that all rented accommodation is fit for human habitation and to strengthen tenants' means of redress against the minority of landlords who do not fulfil their legal obligations to keep their properties safe. It amends the Landlord and Tenant Act 1985 by inserting into Section 9A an implied covenant that the dwelling is fit for human habitation at the commencement of the tenancy and will remain fit for human habitation for the duration of the tenancy. So what does fit for human habitation actually mean? So in determining whether a house is unfit for human habitation, regard shall be had to its condition in respect of the following matters. There is a new line in the Act saying that the property shall have freedom from damp and mould and that this can be rectified by means of correct ventilation. The house should be regarded as unfit for human habitation if and only if it is so far defective in one or more of these matters and is not reasonably suitable for occupation in that condition. He is also extremely frustrated. Ideally, he would like to move Mrs. Smith to a bigger property, more suited to her family size, but he does not have enough stock to be able to provide this. He has tried cleaning the mould and he has encouraged her to open windows. Being on the ground floor, she does not feel safe leaving them open. He has advised her that keeping her home adequately heated would help the situation, but knows she's also in fuel poverty. Also, he's seen her drying clothes indoors, but is aware that there is nowhere outside she can do this. He feels like his hands are tied. There are also several things he needs to consider when looking at her property, which sometimes can be very confusing. The Housing Health and Safety Rating System helps identify and protect against potential risks and hazards within dwellings. According to the Housing Act 2004, local councils are required to use the HHSRS to assess if a rented home has hazards which could put an occupant's health in danger. The HHSRS sets out 29 hazards, as well as 4 classes of probable harm and symptoms related to each hazards 1 to 3. The bands that assess the severity of each hazards are 1 to J. Damp and mould growth fall under category 1A to C, which requires immediate action to assess and rectify due to the health and well-being of the occupants. When carrying out an assessment on the property, the following actions must be performed. An assessment is carried out on the probability of harm, classes 1 to 4, and then placed in band A to J. ABC falls into category hazard 1. Here's an example of severe case scoring 9,413. Emergency action is required. He must also comply with Part F of the building regulations. F1 building regulations require there to be adequate means of ventilation provided for people within the property. All ventilation into new build and refurbishment must be in compliance with these approved documents. Part F1 gives the property ventilation rates, which should be adhered to, as well as the different systems that can be used to obtain these rates. However, help is available. At New Air, we have a team of representatives on hand to help the social housing sector navigate their way through all things ventilation. He gets in touch with his local account manager. Now let's look at how New Air can help with the solution. New Air have a long history in providing ventilation products to the market. We are a UK manufacturer based in Caerphilly, South Wales, part of what was the Polypipe Group, recently renamed the Genuit Group. New Air also manufacture almost everything on site and have over 55 years of ventilation experience. We can also offer full on-site support. We are happy to survey any troubling properties and report back with ventilation strategies and product advice. At New Air, we have an extensive product range. All residential products have been specifically designed with the social housing market in mind. We have products to suit each of the different ventilation strategies used to meet building regulations. Let's look at positive input ventilation, which falls under System 5. Positive input ventilation was invented by New Air back in the 1970s, in the days when back boilers were being taken out and chimney breasts filled in. Homes lost the natural ventilation that they were accustomed to. With homes becoming better insulated, a whole house ventilation solution was required. New Air's Positive Input Ventilation Unit, PIV, came to the market in 1972 and has now been installed in over 1 million homes. As you can see, there have been many updates to the original version from when it was first launched. The way PIV works is that air is continuously drawn into the ventilated loft space. The air passes through filters and gently enters the home via a ceiling diffuser. The air displaces, dilutes and replaces the stale contaminated air with fresh filtered air, creating a healthy environment where moisture cannot exist in the home. Clinical trials have proven that PIV reduces dust mite allergens, helping asthma and allergy sufferers. Here you can see a wall with mould growth before PIV is installed. This is what we call the cure process. Once the PIV is installed, the walls start to dry out and a white powder forms. This is what the wall looks like 6 weeks after the install, and this is when redecoration can take place. Nuair have a full range of extract fans designed for social housing. Our most popular one is the Faith fan, which can be used for both System 1 and System 3 ventilation strategies. It's a very modern, sleek looking fan. Being a mixed flow fan, it can be smaller in design and still meet the duties it needs for building regulations. It comes in self and two 30-volt options. It uses an LCD display to set up rather than awkward jumpers. Has a 5-year warranty. The most important feature is a daily run monitor. With all the disrepair claims, this will cover a landlord as he will be able to monitor the tenant's usage. It also has fully lockable features so that tenant cannot alter this once it's been set up. We also offer full off-site support. Full toolbox training can be provided on the extract fans and PIV, so everyone is confident when installing them. At Nuair we also offer a range of CPD presentations. Mould and condensation, MVHR installation and maintenance are both very popular. So let's see the result of our real-time scenario. Mr. Evans is confident he has found a solution. With the help of Nuair, he has been able to improve Mrs. Smith's ventilation and the mould and damp issues in her property have gone. He also has a peace of mind that he is covered should she decide to turn them off for any reason. His electricians are fully trained on fitting the products and his team are more informed about the importance of ventilation. His account manager at Nuair is at the end of the phone every day for ongoing support. All our CPD presentations are available for you to book now. There is also a handout for information on who your local account manager is. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, please raise your hand.